All righty then. So the point is, we got a 5-match show. So we know that some of the matches are going to take a little while. But we opened up with what ought to be a real stem winder, as Lance Russell would say, a good old-fashioned Pier Sixer, as Gordon Soley would say, a Donnybrook even. The Australian street fight with Bronson Reed and Roman Reigns. And they had taken a while to get there. It was, again, I think back to the good old days, the halcyon days of yore. Even in the Attitude Era. If we had a fucking pay-per-view and you said, okay, by the time that we play the open and the drone shots and the various walk-ins and the package and the explanations and then the entrances, about 15 minutes into the show, we're going to ring the bell for the first match. Vince would have had a conniption fit. But they rang the bell about 15 minutes into the show. And again, I'm a fan of Bronson Reed's, and I think he's different. And I think he and Breaker have the tremendous upside and the as a team and the whole 9 yards. I'm thinking, is Roman Reigns needs to, when's the last time that Roman Reigns came out and tore the fucking house down for 9 minutes with the wildest goddamn thing you ever saw and got the fuck out of there?
Never. Slow and plotting, deliberate, and then eventually, either during the match or afterwards, a speech.
Well, in this case, it's the Australian street fight, so they go out in the crowd and they fight walk back to the arena, and Roman beats him up with a garbage can. How many bright, shiny aluminum metal garbage cans you see in arenas these days, Brian?
I don't think any.
Like what they used to come pick up at my mom's house in the 60s. And then they fought back to the ring, and Roman beat him up with a cricket bat. And then he beat him up with a kendo stick. And then he told Perth, if you want tables, acknowledge me. Yeah, so they pulled out a table. But then Bronson Reed established himself as the heel good by stopping Roman and sliding it back in. And I was like, 6 minutes, I'm bored already. Because it's the same shit. But here's the thing, the fans, obviously, they'd paid a lot of money to be there, and there was 13,000 whatever. And they want to have fun, but it's the fans are loud, but they're just wanting to be loud and wanting to make noise to be part of the show. They're having fun watching guys fake fight and amusing themselves with chants and singing a particular guy's name. They're not really concerned that the babyface is hurt until they see something where somebody falls off the top rope and looks like it kills them. More on that later. They're not concerned that the heel is going to cheat the guy that they want to win. And they're not relieved and joyous when the babyface makes a comeback that they didn't think he was going to have a chance to make. It's not the noise of a wrestling crowd anymore. It's the noise of the studio audience on a massive scale. Is it not, Brian?
I'm glad you brought this up because, when we first started seeing it, it was such a novelty. I forget where it really took off. It was Italy or France, wherever it was. It was a big deal, and there was so much energy, and there was so much happiness, it seemed, and people just seemed to retain that happiness and want to dance at times and sing no matter what's happening in the match. I mean, even like the thing you have fun with on the show, the Daddy Cool, Cody Rhodes, they do the same thing for Roman Reigns, so it's not even like it's special for one guy. They just want to sing.
Yeah, they want to sing the name.
But you get the opinion, and the crowd really died out later in the show, lost their energy finally. But you get the opinion that in some respects, and maybe it's a sign of who's buying the tickets up front, I don't know, but they don't really seem to care about what's happening in the match. They want moments, but it's not like they're invested in it. They're invested in having fun.
Yes, and there's going to be people out there that say, "Oh, Cornette hates fun," because they already do. Cornette hates fun. No, I don't hate fun. I don't hate fried scallops, and I don't hate peanut butter, but I don't put peanut butter on my scallops. It there at some point, yes. Again, we know the business is a work. But at some point, it has transformed itself, and on the AEW and indie level, you can't even really say who's in control over there, whether it's the fans or the fucking boys just doing their own shit. But the WWE, the mainstream thing, has transformed itself into a self-fulfilling prophecy, I think, where the boys have just decided, okay, we're just going to work up a series of stunts through our match because the people, if we're over, the people are just going to take it away and sing and yell for everything anyway. But it's just nobody's taking the thing seriously where the guys are putting themselves more in physical danger, more risk of injury, more painful, just as a general rule, more painful matches than was once and for many years necessary. And the people aren't even, oh God, I hope so-and-so wins. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's like, oh, I hope they all fall through a fucking table. Jesus Christ, that has to be disheartening. As a heel, as heels, we desperately wanted people to want to see us get beat by any means necessary. And as the baby faces, naturally, the way they worked their match was for the people to want to see them triumph in the end over all the odds. And now it's just like, what can we fucking fall through?
And again, in the middle of all that, and it's a street fight, but Roman Reigns does not really have exciting matches. And they all go, like you said before, they all go a very long time, no matter what kind of match it is.
Yeah.
It's amazing they had any enthusiasm, quite frankly.
Well, I'll give you some of my notes. Bronson Reed beats up Roman Reigns with a chair over and over. Nothing happens for a while. Roman Reigns with a Samoan drop on a chair, 2 count. Everybody sells forever. Roman Reigns with 20, that's not a misprint, 20 clotheslines to a standing Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed, no bump is what I wrote. No bump. Sound like the guys that come back from Japan. They would try to go over a finish with you in broken English when they've been working for Baba for a month because they were so used to it. Roman backs him into the ropes and hits him with 20 clotheslines. Whomada, and then goes to shoot him off, and Bronson Reed reversed it. And he shot Roman off, and then Roman fucking hit him with a clothesline, and he took a bump. But you know what? That's somebody calling us. Hey, I'll show them how big and strong you are. I'll clothesline you 20 times and you don't take a bump, and then we'll do the spot where you take the big bump. Oh, sure. Okay. What the fuck sense did it make for him to reverse it? Anyway, for either guy. Bronson Reed hit Roman Reigns with a stop sign. I wrote, between the pace and all the trash in the ring, I've nodded off. I will say that at least Roman's Superman punch connects in some fashion visually, unlike Pockets is in AEW where they just kind of waves his hand in the general direction of their head. Here's another note: nothing happens forever. And then Roman Reigns is going to run around on the floor and spear who's he, what's he, Bronson Reed. And suddenly Braun Breaker is there at ringside and spears Roman. Referee's standing there looking at it. Oh, it's a street fight. It's no disqualification. Then Reed clears off the desk and the two heels powerbomb Roman through the desk. And then Reed pulls out a table and sets it up in the ring, and Braun Breaker is rolling Roman Reigns toward the ring, just all again. It's such a crutch because this type of match and that type of match, and other type of match is no disqualification. The referee's powerless. They have made it to where the announcers saying the referee is powerless is the norm rather than the exception. I don't even know whether it should be powerless or impotent. But that just has led to the malaise in people's minds. You can't get heat with a run-in now because it's so overdone. You can't have any rules in place for heels to break because in the preponderance of matches, everyone's allowed to break them anyway, so you can't even establish visually, cognitively, or subliminally in the fans' minds what the rules are supposed to fucking be. It's just a goddamn mess.
Do you think there's also...
So then, go ahead.
I'm sure I know your answer, but do you think there's also an issue with the fact that a lot of these matches with these guys, specifically this one, and it's a street fight, you're still waiting for the interference. You know it's coming, and you know that's probably going to be the core part of the match.
That's another thing. And that in the territory days when the heels were getting heat on the babyface in the ring in a main event match or one of the big matches, you could tell when they'd done too many run-ins in the territory because the fans started turning around and looking to the back, to the babyface entrance. Who's going to come out? And that's when they'd cut them out. Now, goddamn, their fucking music heralds their impending arrival. Nobody needs to look, but it's expected. Because it's a wrestling trope, as the kids say. I'd never heard that word like 10 years ago. That the kids, say that has been now accepted even by the big companies and the big company, because they have writers that are taught structure and blah, 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 whatever the fuck. But also, when all this is done, and I'll explain in a second how it gets worse, it just puts the referee becomes a goddamn dick. And he just has to stand there and he's buried and the fans are like, fuck. And the referees are now buried just by the booking bad enough that the guys used to get fined for burying referees as badly as they now are by the fucking office. It's just astonishing to me. Nevertheless, so they're beating up fucking Roman Reigns when the Usos music plays. And I wrote, oh, for fuck's sake. Because now here came both Usos and they nailed Braun and both of them beat up Bronson Reed and the referee's just staring. And at one point they're having this big fucking fight. And I said, nobody in the ring is actually in the fucking match. And here's another rule of thumb that they're telling they have completely thrown the match out the window and thrown any logic, common sense, rules, whatever out the window because they're telling a story. Their story, is maybe great or whatever, but they can't get there without just it. When I can't imagine what one of us would have said in the 80s and any company roster if we had been presented with something where at some point everybody in our match is going to be laying around the ring and a bunch of people that are not in it are going to be fucking doing spots in the ring. And then when they're done, we're going to continue. So the Usos beat up Bronson Reed, but then the heels came back and beat up the Usos. And here's another thing. Now, for wrestling psychology that stood for 125 years, you got Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker beating up Roman Reigns, 2 heels, 1 babyface, right, Brian? But now the Usos have come out. It's 3-on-2, but Roman's spot is that he's supposed to sell on the side, so it's still 2-2. The odds are even. So the odds are even. The heels beat up the Usos. And then Braun spears Jimmy through the barricade, and Reed goes to splash Jay, but Roman comes back and stops him. So now 2-on-2, Braun and Braun were kicking the Usos' ass, but Roman had to come and save him. What the fuck is going on here? And then Roman's fighting the heels, and Jay gets up, and he's going to spear Bronson Reed, and Reed moves, and Jay spears Roman Reigns through the fucking table in the corner of the ring by accident. And then Braun Breaker speared Jay, and Reed splashed Roman. 1, 2, 3. A rare Roman Reigns, a rare Roman Reigns loss is what I'm trying to say to you.
Yeah, he's only been pinned a few times in the last several years. You know, this was a Paul Heyman special. It could have been an ECW in the mid-90s, the amount of crap that happened here at the end. But it's becoming typical. And then, of course, in the post-match, we get minutes of, if it wasn't minutes, it felt like minutes, of Roman Reigns having a disappointed speech, having a disappointing conversation, I guess is the better term, but it is a speech with the Usos, and the camera mic picks it up. I didn't really enjoy this. And, you know, I come away from a match like this, I'm like, man, Roman Reigns kind of sucks. Like, you know, he's a big star and everything, but I don't enjoy his matches whenever he actually shows up. And again, the interference you knew was coming, and it came. But, you know, they got present. I mean, the thing about the Usos and Roman Reigns from that bloodline angle was they had presence, and they still have that presence. It's just, even then, the matches, it was all about waiting for the big angle at the end, or the big interference, or the big thing to happen. The matches themselves were never good.
Is Roman Reigns one of those guys that is such a cool heel that he becomes a babyface, but when he becomes a babyface, it doesn't work because he needs to be a heel?
Because I think he needs to be a heel. He's more effective as a heel, and I think that's pretty clear right now.
The pace worked as an obnoxious, arrogant heel. It doesn't as a babyface. It just the plodding, the preponderance of the plodding. He needs more urgency and more fire. I think, you know, that it's almost like the opposite end of the spectrum. What turned Jimmy Snuka, who in the 70s was the premier South Seas Islander, Pacific Islander, whatever, in the industry. Snuka as a heel was so electrifying and energetic and fucking oozed goddamn lightning and excitement that made him a babyface, along with the look, the body, and everything, the cool moves. And then when he was a babyface, that was the whole excitement of him. This is the complete opposite. Roman Reigns as a plodding, posturing, arrogant, type heel, that worked, but not as the babyface with no oomph to him every once in a while. Doesn't work, does it?
I think As crazy as this sounds, you're seeing just what a big part of the package Paul Heyman was. Even though Paul Heyman's still involved in this stuff behind the scenes, and of course, on the other side in the match, just him having Heyman and walking out there made a whole lot of stuff work. It's all
Well,
about
and
presence.
and a group. I'm not saying he needs the goddamn, cast of War and Peace or whatever, but when Roman was the head guy of a couple of other wrestlers and the gravitas that being counseled by the wise man Paul Heyman conveys to him and to that group, he was the center of attention. He was surrounded. He could send other people to do the bidding and get the ass kicked. And again, you had Heyman to, in some cases, do the brunt of the explanations so that Roman Reigns could just be a cool guy and not have to go into the minute bookkeeper's details of things to get across. That whole path. Then you've got the focus, the star of the whole show. But with that guy just by himself, doing nothing differently, just kind of the same pace, same kind of interviews, it's just a little blander.
Well, Jim, Paul Heyman sure knows how to pick them. And I'm sure if Paul Heyman was on his phone, and where else would he be? Maybe he's making some picks right now with our friends at Prize Picks.
Well, that would probably be a thing that Heyman would do if he could figure out a way like he did with the refunding the airline tickets in fraudulent fashion or making checks in a fraudulent fashion from the SoloFlex scam that he worked. If he could figure out a way to rig Prize Picks, I bet you he would.
Well, you can't.
But you see,
and you can trust Prize Picks. We want to let the listeners know it's a great service, and we're going to find out a whole lot more about it. And you can trust that it'll work fine. There are no Heymans.
You're just jumping in already to defend before I've even
worried.
Dallied.
You worry me.
But no, because you see, I'm saying at Prize Picks, they're smarter than the average Heyman. They are too smart for Paulie. They're not like Delta Airlines. And they're not like the SoloFlex people in the 90s. They're good with numbers. And that's why they're the ones that you can trust. Prize Picks, the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. And if that sounds crooked, I've been told that it's not.
It's not.
I've heard it from you.
Just want to clarify.
Because, well, what it is, picking different things about the same player. It doesn't mean is he going to make love to the same stripper 3 times in one night. It means is he going to have 3 different strippers. See, things like that. There's a distinction. And folks, if you want to pick on more or less on some schlub's pass yards or rush yards or touchdowns, you can pick all of them in the same lineup. Just like you go into the police station, you sit down and you say on the lineup, he did it. You can just pick 3 of them. Say arrest all 3 of the son of a bitches. And here's another thing that you can do.
Let's talk about other things. Let's talk about other things you could do. Yes.
Have you ever been asked to be in a lineup, Brian? Do you look like anybody else?
No, I have not, and I do not.
You know what you can do? You can follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. So right there, if you get one of these smarty, fancy damn smartphones they got these days, you get the app and you can track other players. It shows you where they are geographically. When they turn into Walgreens and they're shopping in the card department, then when they come back out, they go down the street to the gas station. Especially watch the married ones that go into the cheap motels on the outskirts of town. But you can watch them and then copy their lineups in one click. Hopefully not their whereabouts as well.
Their lineups.
Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button. Check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks and check out their whereabouts and where they go every day when they're supposed to be at work or at the gym, as he was saying every Tuesday and Thursday. Ha ha ha. once that we found out about that, well, and you can download the Prize Picks app today. Brian, I know you'll be happy to hear, and use the code JCE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is the code.
That's a great deal.
It's 10 times. Literally 10 times. Both. Literally 10 times. Both of those things apply. Jason, what are you laughing? I'm giving you simple mathematics here. Yes.
Tim, there's a promo code.
Yes. That's code. I'm trying desperately. That's code JCE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, you show us yours first, and then we'll flop our bigger one out. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.